Oh, hey there, people. Welcome to yet another one of these rolling vlogs of mine where I drive around and we talk about things. I'm currently doing a high speed here and I got a cop behind me. I'm currently doing 110 and 90, so we'll just go ahead and reduce the speed on that. But yeah, we're still out bombing around in the Trans Am, just giving her. And I wanted to talk to you about the time I bought this car. See, basically, to purchase this car, it took literally 2 years for me to find the car. Now, there was a lot of Trans Ams and Camaros around North Bay, but I really wanted a Trans Am, but I would have settled for a Camaro. Now, the first car I ended up looking at, which was actually kind of funny, it was a 1979 Chevy Camaro with a 350 in it, and I really liked the car until I saw it. Like, I saw pictures of it before it was put into storage, and it looked really, really nice. Like, it was really well done, real nice car. Like, it was just fabulous. Like, it was immaculate shape. And then I go out to Buddy's house, way the frig out in the middle of nowhere, kind of like where we went to do that burnout. And sure enough, the car was missing the whole front fascia, so it needed a new front fascia. It was missing the all the plastic parts that clip on, like the hood grills and all the different things. And Buddy wanted like $2,200 for it, and I was like, "Are you friggin' for real?" I'm like, "Well, can you start it?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, I'm just gonna put a battery in it." Puts a battery in it. Engine was seized. I'm like, "Oh, for frig's sakes, you know, this is no good." So I told him to keep it. And then we went and looked at a couple other Trans Ams, and I found one. It was a black Pontiac Trans Am from '86. Had the 350 in it. It was the 350. Well, it was a Frankenstein because it had the 350, but it was carbureted, and they never really offered that package. So I was like, okay. Fires it up. It's running. I sit inside of it, and my foot felt really weird on the floor. I'm like, what the frig's going on here? So I look underneath, and there was a hole big enough where you could actually probably crawl out of the car from underneath if you were to roll it. I was like, holy shit, no thanks, keep your car. I want something structurally sound. So I said, no, that's not going to work out. So then the third car I went and looked at was a blue Trans Am, but he said it had a V8. He lied. My big credentials when I bought the car was needed a V8, had to be a hardtop, I wanted a clean body, and I had $8,000 to spend. And at the time, $8,000 would get you quite the car. So I went and looked at another one. It was blue. Sure enough, I get there, get Buddy to pop, and he fires it up, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like a V8. He goes, oh, let me hit the throttle. He hits the throttle, and yeah, you know, any car you hit the throttle, she's gonna bark. And I'm like, well, yeah, it sounds pretty mean and stuff. And you know, this one was a 5-speed. It wasn't an automatic like mine's an automatic, but his was a 5-speed. And sure enough, I'm like, you pop the hood, and he goes, oh, okay. So he pops the hood, and I'm like looking, and I'm like, the headers are clear sign that it's a 6-cylinder. It was a 2.8 liter V6. I'm like, bro, this is a V6, and he's like, no, man. 2 of the spark plugs are in the back. You can't really see them, but you got to reach around back. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? I'm like, listen, I've researched. I said, I'm not a mechanic, but I always research the shit out of things before I buy them. This car is a 2.8 liter V6, 130 horsepower, 190 foot-pounds of torque. I had all the friggin' numbers all crunched out, and he was like, no, man, I'm telling you right now, this car is a V8. Look on the ownership. And I'm looking on the ownership, and nowhere on the ownership does it say it's a V8. I'm like, what are you talking about? The number of cylinders isn't even filled in. He goes, yeah, because they weren't even sure, because, you know, it's listed as a V8, but they can only see 6, so they just left it blank. And I'm like, yeah, you're pulling my ass. I'm not interested. And I walked away from that one there. And then I looked at a bunch of other ones, some Camaros and stuff, but I was like, frig, you know, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna hold off and wait. And luckily I did, because in 2002 at Christmas time, my brother gets a call from a girl that he knows who just went through a nasty divorce, and part of the nasty divorce is she kept this car, not because she liked the car, because she hated her husband. And she didn't want the car because she needed a family car, but she figured, you know what, I'll flip the car and I'll buy myself a 4-door something or other, like a Civic or something. So sure enough, she put it up on Auto Trader for $7 grand, and my brother was talking to her and said, well, would you be willing to do a deal for my brother? And she's like, all right, well, tell them to give me a call and we'll see what we can do. So I called her up and she's like, yeah, come over, take a look at it. She goes, for you, I'll give it to you for $3,500 if you like it. And I was like, all right. So I went over and looked at it. First thing I did was drop on the ground and look underneath, and I was like, holy shit, this thing's clean. You know, the exhaust on it was kind of kife. It was broken, but whatever. That's nothing that we can't fix. And I was planning on putting an aftermarket exhaust on it anyway. So I'm like, well, can we fire it up? She goes, there's not much gas in it. And I said, well, as long as it just starts, just want to hear it run. So she fired it up and I heard it run and I was like, oh my God, sold. So the next day I went to the bank and got the money, and yeah, ended up picking up the car. They even sold me $3,500 certified, and all it needed for certification was, I think, new wipers, and that's about it. Brand new wipers. That's all I needed for certification. Everything else was fine on it. So needless to say, I got the car, brought it home on the 20th, and I didn't know where to park it, so I parked it in the driveway, and sure enough, I go downstairs and I'm sitting there, and I'm in my bedroom and playing on my computer and stuff, and my dad comes home and he goes, Adam, who's here with you? And I'm like, nobody. He goes, well, whose white Trans Am is that? Or yeah, whose white Trans Am is that in the driveway? I'm like, that's mine, I just bought that. And he's like, what? Couldn't believe it that I went out and bought the car in the winter. Hardest thing to do is not drive it till spring. That was the hardest thing to do. But honestly, I love this car to death. It's my favorite. I'm glad I got it. I could never part with it. There's been times where I actually thought about selling it, and it actually makes me sick to my stomach. I can never get rid of this thing. It's my baby. But anyway, people, there's a little backstory on for you on when I bought the Trans Am and stuff. Getting a little personal. So hopefully you enjoyed that backstory, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below. Once again, people, be sure to check out Red Light Broadcasting on the YouTube TV. You can check them out in the description. Also check out all the other links in the description, their sponsored links and all that. And until next time, people, keep on vlogging.
And it had the shitty 305 engine, and they actually offered the Iron, the Iron Duke, the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine that's been found in the Pontiac Fieros and some other Pontiacs. I think GM put the Iron Duke in the Cressida or something like that. I can't remember what they call it. 2.5-liter, 92 horsepower. Made the car do the quarter mile in about an hour and a half. It was a gutless engine. They're like, why do you like that generation? Well, I'm not going to lie to you people. The reason why I love this generation is because in 1982 a show came on the air, and that show just made me love the car. And if you don't know what show I'm referring to, that show I'm referring to is Knight Rider with David Hasselhoff. William Daniels is the voice of Kit. You know, the car that could talk, it had a brain.